I'm going to prop this up just a little bit more. This is not the way I wish that I was starting out alive. But Jocelyn McClellan here. I'm going to bring to you a very neutral, natural eye look using Seint Eyeshadows. I wanted to have something that you could hold on to, that you could keep, you could share with friends, and you could go and revisit over and over and over again. I think when it comes to eyeshadows, we get discombobulated with like how stressful it can be, but really I want to break it down so easy for you. I'm not going to take a lot of time to jump into this. We're just going to dive so that this live can be as short as possible, and it could be one that you want to go back to and access multiple times. So within Seint, this is an eyeshadow palette that I can build however the heck I want. I took all of these natural colors, I plugged them in here just to show you an array of things. You can see within here that we have more warm tones and we have more cooler tones and then some kind of in between. But these are a lot of, not all of the colors that Seint has that are neutral browns. Now, when you are trying to choose kind of which route to go, you're looking for whether or not you want to use one shadow, 2, 3, or 4, or possibly sometimes 5. I usually don't use 5 unless it's like for specific nights, and then I'll throw in 5. But we always want to start with something super simple. So back in the day, we would start with a really light color. We're not doing that any longer. So we're going with something that is more close to hitting a little bit darker than your natural. So you can see if I hold this up, these ones are going to go a little bit more darker than what my natural is. And the reason I always like to start with something like this is not because you need to, but because it can make it easier for you to learn to build up the eye. And it can also make it easier to set the base and get as high as you need to get when it comes to the getting up as high as you need to up onto the brow bone. When people are doing their eyes, they tend to not get up as high as they need to. And I promise you're not going to look crazy, but you need to get up higher, because as you get up higher, all that excess skin that hangs over the eye, it actually hides and camouflages that. When you don't get up as high, when you stay more in that crease, that's when it actually shows this excess skin more, and you're not going to like it. So if you're somebody that has hooded eyes, if you're somebody that you feel that you have droopy eyelids, you are going to feel more droopy if you do not get outside of the brow. Now, how do we do that? Well, I'm going to walk you through that, but how you do that is by getting up higher, but you need to actually chill out the brow. So when you hear me say lower the brow, that means you might be doing it up this way, and you need to just bring it back down. You don't have to scowl, but you need to remember that it's very common and natural to raise the eye. We do it when we apply mascara. It's just very natural, and we need to bring that back down. So first things first that we're going to do is we're going to focus on what was our goal for today. Do we want a cooler look? Do we want a more neutral look? And do we want a warmer look? If you're looking for a neutral look, I mean that you can incorporate cools and warms. Good morning. How are you? So since you can incorporate cools and warms, you're going to kind of just have it really natural. Now, or neutral. You can make it really warm, or you can make it semi-warm. I'm going to show you today the difference within making it super warm and a little semi-warm, okay? And so the super warm or the super cool can really confuse people. Now, how do you know if you're more cool or more warm? That part right there is a little bit tricky. I'm going to give some basics to it. What you're looking for is if you were to hold up a yellow piece of paper, or if you were to hold up a white piece of paper, do you have tones that naturally hit more towards yellow, or they hit more towards the coolness of the white? So if you see my eyes, see the coloring by my eyes, it's more of that white piece of paper. All this now has bronzer and stuff on it, but it's more that white piece of paper. Above my mouth is more of that white piece of paper. And right in here, neutrally, normally for me, I am not yellows. I pull more to the white piece of paper. Now, because I have kind of both within me, I'm a very neutral person. And the other thing that you can go off of is even how you like to wear jewelry. You tend to think that, oh, I feel like I look better in gold. Oh, I kind of think I look better in silver. I can do both, which also helps me with neutral. A lot of times people will look at the veins, but that can be really easy at times too. So I think the easiest way is the white piece of paper versus the yellow piece of paper. You're looking for like more of the white tones, even though you don't have white in your tones, but you're looking for the white within those tones a little bit more often. I have it a lot under my eyes. I have it on my eyes. I have it in my neck when I've not filled it in with makeup. And that's why when I color match people, I need you to not have makeup on. A lot of times people are like, well, I'll just submit a photo with my makeup on. No, because a lot of times we wear foundations that have the colors within them, and we don't want that. Okay. I want a fresh face. So I will color match you if you submit a photo to me. What I'm color matching you for is I will give you some eyeshadow recommendations. So you can just go to fitmissionmakeup.com to get that custom color match. And then I will also match you to your own foundations. These are our highlight colors. We have color correcting. You'd have to tell me within the color match you want color correcting. We have contours, bronzers, and I would match you to that. These all pop in and out. So when one color runs out, you just pop it in and out super easy. You don't have to rebuy the palette because this is all magnetized and you put it in however you want. So your eyeshadows can look whatever the heck, however you want. If you comment the word eyeshadow palette, I have a couple out just because they're in what I'm prepping for today, that I've made this palette that people can just get this, or they'll get a link for this. You can just comment the word eye palette, and it will have this palette already filled in a cart for you. Any color you don't want, you take out. Any color you want to keep, you keep. Within this eye palette, I did some cools and I did some warms. So anybody who doesn't want the cools takes out the cools. If you want the warms, but like maybe there's some that's some warm and some that aren't as warm, you'll be able to decipher that as well. So let's dive in, okay? All right, the first things first is I'm going to put on an eye primer. Now, within an eye primer, the reason I'm not a huge fan of face primers, I think that there's ways to get around without having to buy a lot of extra products. But when it comes to eye primer, it really makes a difference for you. And the reason why it makes that difference is it creates a tack. Now, if you have an oily eyelid, you really, really need that. It's going to have your eyeshadow show up better. It's going to do such a great job. If you are somebody that has dry eyelids, you can go in with the Seint. We call these highlights. They are our foundation color, but we call this whole thing a 3D foundation because it's adding so much 3D depth to the face when you utilize it just without having to do layers and layers of makeup. But if you do have more dry eyes, you can take this and put it on the eyelids to act as that primer. I can't do that because I have loose skin, a lot of skin, and I get greasy eyelids and my eyes just become extremely heavy. And so I go in with an eye primer. I choose this eye primer, and you can get the link for it just by saying eye primer. I choose this eye primer because of the very specific color and because it stays on very, very well. This color is from the one, it's Persuade. Persuade has a little bit of pink tones. What it's going to do is you can see all my veins and all of that. It neutralizes out all of the colors. So if you're somebody that has different colors within your eye, it really balances and neutralizes it. But the other reason why I like this color so much is because this color is a very good neutral color to start out with. And so it's killing two birds with one stone kind of thing. You don't have to go down so low with the first eyeshadow that you're going to put on. It acts as that eyeshadow and it just does a really good job. It simplifies the process of eyeshadows, which I'm looking for when I mentor you. Okay. Now we have that on. What you want to make sure though, if you do have really crepey eyelids, you have excess skin, you have hooded eyes, you want to make sure you're balancing this out, evening it out, you can get it up onto that brow bone as well, but you want to make sure it's dry before you start. Lots of people will just go in too thick and then they'll open their eyes and it will make that crease all on its own because you went in too fast and too thick. So you do want to make sure that that has that time to dry before you go and put that eyeshadow on. All right. Next, we're going to kind of assess what our goals are. How are we feeling today? Do we want one shadow? Do we want two shadows? Do we want three? Do we want four? What are we trying to accomplish with our shadows? If you're somebody that's just wanting one shadow that's super, super simple and super, super basic, well, that's easy to do. But the one thing that I like to, as I was telling you before, the one thing I like to start out with is deciding whether or not you are going to want more than one. And then we're always going to start with the neutral. So in my last tutorial that I taught this on, I used this color right here called Stay Golden. In my everyday life any longer, I'm more using this one right here called Chai. So Stay Golden, it's very warm, right? It's got more warm tones, it's got more gold flecks. It's not a shimmer per se, but it definitely has more of that along the lines of gold. So if you're somebody that is wanting more neutral, natural for that first shadow that you put on, you're going to stick with something closer to either this one right here, which is called Chai. I think if you're neutral, more warmer toned, you do more Chai. And then I have another one here called Pup, and you can see that Pup is a little bit more ashy. So if you're somebody that wants cooler tones, you can go towards Pup instead of Chai. So I'm going to take Chai with a bigger brush, and I'm not going to go too much in detail with these brushes with their names because I actually have something that's coming up really soon that's really, really cool. But you're looking for a brush that is more bigger built like this because we're going to take over the eyelid across itself. So what I'm going to do is see how I'm out onto the brow bone to start. I'm going to get out onto that brow bone to start. Now, if you are somebody that has wrinkly eyelids, you want to work more in a stipple than you're working in windshield wiper, okay? Chai is so good, right? Now, when you work in the stipple instead, the reason why is when you do a windshield wiper, it takes all of that excess skin and it moves it along so you have a higher chance of getting a jump within your skin. It makes it harder for it to blend out. And so we're looking for, again, I come right up onto that brow bone. You always want to practice telling yourself to lower the eyelid. And when I say lower the eyelid, you're just lowering the brow. Hello and good morning. All right, so we're just lowering that down. And then I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to tilt my head back because this is the easiest way to get into the crease. I will tell you without a doubt, people always tell me, no matter what I try, my eyes always crease. It's more than likely a you thing than a product thing. Because when you have wrinkly eyelids, when you have hooded eyes, we tend to put it on like this, and then you have that wrinkle that's there. It's not gone. And so when it's like that, you want to get that eye back, get into that crease, and it's going to make it so much easier for you. If you do need to hold the skin down to work out that crease, depending on the situation, do. Hello, good morning. Okay, so that's our first shadow. You could literally be done right here, right now. I have to like turn my head. It's making my brows look more ski-wampus than they already are. This like shoots it opposite of what it is. Okay, so if that's like, no, I'm good, then you would roll into your eyeshadow. And I'm going to do that next just so if you were somebody that wants one eyeshadow, you totally can. All right, you're going to take, I don't actually use an eyeliner anymore unless I'm trying to create a cat eye. So what I do is eyeshadows. Now there's two different things that you can do. You can take a setting spray and spray it onto your your liner brush, and it's going to help it stay more pigmented, more strong. But a lot of times if people have a hard time with that, they are getting a little bit too much on the brush. So you can take that setting spray. You're just going to take it and spray it one time. It's just going to get a little bit of that spray on there. And then you're going to go into your shadows. You can decide. So this one's more cool. This is the color called Coal. This one is more warm. This is the color called Coco. You can use Coco. You can use Philly. Just you want a darker color. Okay. So I'm going to use, I'm going to even teach you a trick you can do. I'm going to take Coco and you're going to tap off all excess. And then instead of going across the whole entire eye, I'm going to come in just right here on this edge. Okay, now just by going onto that edge, I'm not following it down the eye. I'm lifting it up, okay? You use Max Eye Primer Paint Pot. Guess what? This one is better than that one. So I used to use the Paint Pot. I tested out this one and I was like, I think I like this one better. This company ran out of last year. They were gone for like 6 months. I had to go back to the paint pot. It's not near as good. This one is better. So when you run out of that paint pot, give this sucker a try because they're actually really, really close in color. That's why I went to the MAC paint pot. And this one outshines that bad boy. Okay, I like to test things out for y'all, so I'm going to tell you the honest truth. And it's not because this is a link that you get a discount from me. I don't care about that. It's the fact of if it's better or not, and I wanted to share that with you. Okay, so I'm looking to this isn't there's no shimmer on this, nothing like this. Is the color Persuade. They linked it right above, and it's the Persuade color, and then you can get that code with it, but it's 100%. I'm not going to give you shimmer. I did go into detail with what is the color, and I showed the color too. There's no shimmer on my eye whatsoever. Zero shimmer. All right, now we're going to go right from there. We created a lift, and I'm going to go right at the very edge and under, and I'm going to lift up that edge. So again, I have nothing else on at this point. And without having nothing else on at this point, you can already see, let me bounce my head out. See how it's lifted? It's way more lifted than the other eye. Okay, I didn't need to go ham on eyeliner, anything like that. Now what we're gonna do from here is now we're just gonna fuse in the rest. If you've seen me do tutorials, you've seen me go into detail about getting in the trees. What I mean by getting in the trees, so a lot of times people will go right into that water line that's right next to the eye itself. And within that, you want to stay away from right next to the eye. If you have an event, that's one thing because where people will have you get into the water line. But on the daily, let's just get into those trees. As in, let's get into the lashes themselves because it's going to make the lashes look thicker and you're helping fill in those bare spots. So all I'm doing now is going into the areas that I feel are more bare spots. So depending on the thickness of your eye, lashes is going to depend on what you got to hit up. And all I'm doing is hitting right into those lashes. Look how thick it's already making it look. And then right in here, I'm going to go right into this inner corner. All right. Now down below, I can take more of a lighter color than as dark of a color. And I am going to, and I can make this look more natural and neutral of an eye look. Okay. But the other thing I can do if you want to your eye just a little bit more is you can take that coal color. Again, it's coal. We have coal, Coco. We have Salem that's black. We have some other colors. And by the way, everything I'm doing today is on purposely no shimmers. We do have shimmer colors that are browns, but I am not using any shimmers within this. Now I can take that coal and I'm going to take coal just right on this very edge. And I can just have it be out here and not in the inside of the eye, making my eye look more heavy. Now you can take a little brush cleanser tool, but I really don't like them because over time, I feel like they wear down the brushes and they make the bristles look a little broken. And so I like to just get off that excess color right on with my wrist. But now you can take a more neutral color and go in with that neutral color right under the eye to help the eye not look heavy. Now, again, if this is for an event, then you might want to go a little bit warmer on that outside, but we're just looking for more of a neutral, natural eye look using Seint eyeshadows. All right. Okay. So that would be more like, okay, my eye's finished. I did one color. I'm out. She done. Right. So now though, you might want to just put on your mascara and move on, but we're going to move into adding more colors onto the eye. So I just wanted to show you that this could be a finished look for a neutral, natural eye when you're using one eyeshadow color. We use the color called Chai. If you missed the beginning, you can go back and watch that after. Okay, now we're going to change brushes and we're going to get a brush that is a little bit smaller and we're going to go in with a little more detail. So after I do a color that's closer to my natural, I have two other choices. I can either bump up to a darker color and get it just barely on the eye. That's actually going to make blending a little bit more simplified, or I can just move into the next color up. If you're somebody that wants two colors, then what you would do with the two colors is then move to that second color and put it right here on the edge first. Okay, so we always want to bring it, build it down so we're not getting too much shadow up onto the brow bone. So the goal is we're going to get this up onto the brow bone, but on our terms. We do not want to get too heavy with these darker colors up higher on the brow bone. So we're starting down low. Remember to tilt the head up to get into the crease. And now we are going to tap, 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 tap up higher. So it's in our control, and see how now it's blended out softly of how that is actually going to be. Otherwise, we go in too heavy. Now I have to remember, just lower your eye, because see, now here I didn't have any of those wrinkles. Here I do. Real life just set in real quick. But so I'm going to lower that eye, and I'm going to still continue to tap, 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 tap. And if you need to make sure you have all excess off of your brush, you can go into that arm, because we can just wash our arm after. And we're going to keep it lowered. And if that line of demarcation is too strong, go back to the brush that already had and just paint it down. That already had the one color on it that was chai, because it's a little more neutral, so that we don't go too heavy, too high up to the brow bone. We're looking to get on the brow bone, but we don't want to take a dark color all the way to the top of the brow. And that's going to help simplify that out, right? Just ordered Persuade. There you go, girl. Let me know, Rose, what you think about between the two. But definitely, I tested those suckers out for a long time, and I think Persuade has it beat. Or, well, the Persuade color has it beat. But they're very close to the same. The ochre color and the Persuade. Okay, so that is with 2 eyeshadow colors. Now I'm going to show you a different method, going back to that same brush that I already had. This is how, if you struggle with a dark color as an eyeshadow, this is how you can naturally bring it in, okay? So we went with 2 eyeshadow colors. This side, we would be done. We'd add our eyeliner, call it a day. I think I need to bring this up just a little bit higher. I'd finish that out, because see how I have so much color here, but you really can't see that color coming up onto that brow bone. We want a little bit more color. So if I was finishing this eye out, I would definitely try and make sure that I have a good amount of color there, because it's truly going to camouflage this skin that hangs over right there. Okay, now if you want an easy way, though, that you struggle with adding in a darker color, this is a method for you, especially as a beginner. We're going to take that small, we don't want to go too big of the brush here. Again, I'm not emphasizing what brushes I'm using right now, because I actually have a really fun thing that's going to happen here really soon. Okay, I'm going to get just a little bit. And this is the color Coco. This is the same color that I use as an eyeliner. Now I'm going to take that color and I'm going to stick it right closer. I'm going to try really hard to stick it closer into that crease and lower. I do not at this point want to go higher. Now I am looking to finish out the look of this eye. So what my goal is to, if I were to follow this line above, so if this area right in here, I want this dark color to be right there, creating a finish for that eye. I don't want it to go down too low. If it does, I'll just clean it up with makeup, but I'm trying to create a shape that gives it a lifted eye look. So in order to do that, I just want to stipple right down there at that base, like so. Okay, like she heavy. All right, now I'm going to take off all excess off of my brush, because I got her painted on there good enough, right? I got quite a bit on there. Now from there, I'm going to stipple, 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 stipple. Now look what's happening. We're creating shape. And it kind of came out just a little bit more than I wanted. So I'm just going to bring that in. Now, I have a little bit of a crease. So I'm going to tilt my head back and get in that crease. And now I'm going to continue. I have makeup on my nose. I don't know how I did that. I'm going to continue stippling. So you can sit here and stipple quite a few times, lowering my brow. Keep stippling. And we're getting that darker color built up on that edge. Now I'm going to go back to that wide brush that I had, and I'm just going to continue stippling. Well, there's no extra color on this brush besides what was ever on it of a lighter color. And I gotta say, my hooded eyes are getting a lot stronger. So it's becoming harder and harder to teach classes. So if you literally think you can't do it, you can. I used to teach you and educate you to just do one brush. And the more I dove into this, I was like, it is so much harder, truthfully, with using one brush. I know with Seint, we try and keep those double-ended brushes and just make it simplified. But when you get more excess skin on the eye, it makes it so much easier to use more than one brush. And that's not something I taught before, and I apologize. The more I've dove into this, the more I've learned, the more I've like, let me test this. And that's why I do like to test things out so much. But I really do think, and it's not about buying more products. I promise you, I try and get you guys to buy as little products as possible and just make things versatile. But when it comes to the brushes on the eyes, when you're starting to get more skin, excess skin on those, it makes it so much more simple. Okay, now you can then take, how we can make this easier is I'm going to go to a middle color. All right, so I just did that darkest color right there. I'm going to choose a middle color. Now I have two options. We talked about warmth versus cool. I can either go to the more warm realm, okay, or like this one right here, or these two right here. This is Butterscotch and Bubba, really close, but one's a little bit more than the other. This one is Sedona, okay. Now these two, where's my fingers at? Okay, this one right here is Oak. It's very ashy. This one right here is Basic. It's a very in between ashy and it's more on the ashy side than it is on the warm side, but it's not as ashy as Oak. All right, so these are more around the realm, and then this one is Cafe. So you can see it's really got those green tones coming in. It has that ash within it. And so these three, and then this one is more of your three cooler browns. And if you are somebody who you want more of a natural look, or neutral, a neutral eye as in, you can have cools or you can have warms, then this is where you would take one of these colors and plug it on. If you're wanting to have a more warm day, it would look better with your outfit to go more warm, then you can go along the lines of Sedona, or really bringing it warm is Bubba or Bubba or Butterscotch. Okay, so this is the one that I've been using. This one is in that eyeshadow palette, the eye palette that I told you all about. Sedona is in that one. I am going to, I'll do Sedona just because it is in that palette. It's one of the colors that I have been focusing on. Wait, am I pointing to the right thing? I need to make sure. Hold tight. Because I might have put two of the same colors in here. Hold tight. I'm like, wait a minute. Woo. Oh, that's Cafe. Okay, so I'm pointing, I think I'm pointing right. Okay, this is Sedona. This is Cafe. So Cafe, you can see Cafe is a little bit more on the cool side as well. So you definitely have options whether you want cool or you want warm. So I'm going to go in with Sedona. And now I'm just going to grab a little bit. I don't want to do, so 2 pops. I don't want to do too much. Now I'm going to take Sedona and I'm going to bring Sedona right inside. So it's not hitting as far out as that darker color of Coco. And I'm going to bring it right inside. And what this is, then I'll get onto that brow. It's actually making everything blend out so easy. Sometimes you've always seen me teach it the opposite ways. Slowly go from lighter to medium to darker. You can do either way. But if you struggle with blending, you might find that this makes it easier for you to kind of mask that dark color. This helps mask that a little bit. Do you ever put highlight on the cheekbone? That is a loaded question at this moment. So I'm going to skip it for a hot minute, because what does highlight mean to you? Seint's eyeshadow or Seint's foundation colors are called highlights. So I'm kind of confused on that one. Okay, so what I want to do though is I'm going to take Sedona and just neutralize that out. Tilt my head back to get out of the cracks. Now, if you're somebody that, again, you struggle with blending, we're going to take that first brush that we used. I'm going to go into the chai color, and then I'm just going to finish tapping chai into this inside. and at that top of that brow bone to neutralize everything out. If you're saying highlight for an illuminator, so Seint calls theirs an illuminator. I do not, because I think that your natural skin we should be working with our skin so that it's naturally glowing. And I don't like the look of shimmer myself. If it is, I'm looking for more natural, then I would rather, instead of adding a shimmer, and again, that's personal preference, but I try and teach and educate that we do more natural looks. I don't know where it's at right now because my computer's right here, so it's kind of hiding things, but I would take that color called Sadie or Summer Love and kind of pop them on that top of that cheekbone. But that's for another live. This one is strictly neutralize. Or you can email me and ask me in that too. Okay, so do you see the difference in the two where we have that going on? Now I'm going to, this one is done. I feel like on the YouTube live, it looks more chilled out than it looks in real life. But that one is all done. If I wanted to add a shimmer at this point, I could add a shimmer and put that right down in there. I would just take it with my finger, pop it a couple times, and press it in the center of the lower lid. I wouldn't go up onto the upper lid. Now, this one, we only have 2 colors within it. So with this one, I went from the lighter color that is the chai, and then I went into the medium color, which is the Sedona. And then now I'm going to choose the darker color, which I'll go in with Coco. So I did it opposite of what I did it here. Okay. The other thing is, so that's 3 colors. If you want to say that it's 4 with your the eyeliner color, you totally can. All right. I'm going to go in with the Coco on the outer edge. And all I'm looking is to slowly build in Coco, since I did it backwards than how I did these. So I want to be more purposeful and be very specific with that Coco color. And it can make it easier. I showed you the 2 ways so that you can test them out yourself, which one you like better. This one could be where you put the black or the dark and then you just gradually fade it out. This one could be like, oh, I only need a little bit now because I really like how this looks. I'm just going to take it, pop it there, stipple it a couple times, and call it a day. So you can decide which way it's easier for you. So either A, lightest color, medium color, then darkest color, or B, lightest color, darkest color, medium color, go back to lightest color to phase it out. And then again, you can just take that brush with the chai, finish out this inside that really didn't get much color at all, and then make sure it's blended up. We do want it lifted, and call it good. Okay. And then again, if you want a shimmer, you could add shimmer. If you don't, then you don't. All right, I'm going to take that Coco. I'm going to create the eyeliner on this eye. I already did it over on this eye. So what I'm looking to do is about right here. So see how I don't go all the way down? I'm looking to create more lift. So I do not want to, you never ever want to follow your natural eye down, especially if that natural eye is drooping. You always want to create a lift. And I never go heavy under the eyes with eyeshadow. No lining, thick liner on top and bottom. The older that we get, it makes us look harsh. If you are an eyeliner lover, I recommend that you slowly phase out of the double liner super thick and start the bottom with more of an eyeshadow instead of an eyeliner itself, and going with just a little bit lighter of a color. Okay, I'm going to take that coal and just go right outside onto that edge. And then I'm gonna clean off that brush again, and I'm gonna go in with a little bit lighter of a color up under the eye. Okay, and then I already curled my lashes, and so I skipped that part, so we didn't have to do it on the live. But then for mascara, all mascaras are going to be different. But what I do up front is I do the first grab mid lash. Okay, when there is more color on the spoolie, I keep the brush in the same place in my hand, and then I slowly move down deeper. Has a way higher chance of getting mascara onto the eyelid itself when you start it out at mid lash. And then again, I really want to dive in there, but not as much as on the spoolie to try to avoid my skin. I also don't like to hold my brush too high, and I try like more so if you can hold it low, you're going to avoid the um, the skin more. When you hit it mid, that's when you start to see people doing this to try and avoid it. But going a little low is always better to avoid that. So mid lash and shape, and then lower, wiggle, 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 do, 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 do. Sometimes I'm so funny. Just kidding. Sometimes I'm not. Oh, let's see here. Hello, Lynette. You just got the text that went out a long time ago, but caught you live. Love the eye videos. Good, good, good. I don't know why, because I don't send out email or text anymore for all of my lives because I do go live fairly often. But you will catch me live every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Central. It's either going to be on Instagram or YouTube, but when I go live on YouTube, I send out a text. I'm trying to get that taken care of to make it more consistent for you to make it easier. Oh, I didn't do my lower eyelids. I don't do my lower eyelids a lot, but when I do my lower eyelids, I try just to focus on the edges out here more than going all the way across. I think when the older we get, the more it just draws more attention to like how our texture in our skin and all of that shows more. See, you can see my own texture. And so I want to, when we have lashes that hang down here, it just pulls it into that texture. And so that's why I don't do it as much on the bottom lash any longer. Okay, so here that is, I wish I could go like this and make my brows be more even, but I can't. But that is the basics with our neutral eye color. I wanted a natural beginner basics info for you using the Seint Shadows. So this is kind of, we focused on, if you just came on, which I know some people did, I want to wrap this up. We focused on incorporating these are all neutral browns, but or natural browns, but how we incorporate it with lightest to go darker. We did two different things on each eye with the method, either lightest to darkest or lightest, dark, middle, and then the lightest again to kind of blend things out. If you ever are wanting some eyeshadow help, you can always ask me to, but in your color match packet, there are colors for brown eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes, and blue eyes. If you haven't had a custom color match for me for a really long time, that color match packet is always updated no matter what. Even if you had a color match from a good couple years ago, you go and click the link for the color match packet and it gives you the updated version. You don't keep the old version. It gives you the updated version. So you can look for eyeshadow colors. In this palette right here, the colors that I have, this one is coal, and along the lines of warm colors is coal, oak. Basic isn't as ashy. Did I say warm? This is cool colors. We have coal, we have oak. Basic isn't as cool as oak is. Then we have cafe and we have pup. Along the lines of warm, we have cocoa, I have Bubba and Butterscotch just because I wanted to show you that you can tell that they're a little bit different. I feel like Butterscotch is way more vibrant than Bubba is. So if you're not wanting it quite as warm, Bubba over Butterscotch. Then we have Chai, which is my good basic. Chai is actually a very neutral color. So if you're somebody that wants more neutral and not like super cool like Pup is, you could do I feel like anybody can do Chai. And then we have this color is in the cooler right here. This is Cafe. Sorry, I missed that one. And then we have Stay Golden. That one's going to be a lot more warm. And then, yeah, that was the Pup one. And then that one is Sedona right here. This is really nice. I haven't been using eyeshadow for a while. May have to start up again. There you go. Did you happen to mention the colors in the palette you just showed? This one, or the other one. So the big one, I didn't mention the colors because all you have to do is type in the word eye palette and we will give you the link to the palette already made. I didn't include the colors. It's just, that's a lot of talking. I don't think anybody wants that. So if you just comment the word eye palette, it will give you the palette that has some of those that were in here. It will give you this whole entire thing. I have warms and I have cools. I added in some shimmer. Just enough with some shimmer and not too much. This one is Buck Wild crazy. This one looks silver in here, but it has an underlying of purple and blue. It is the coolest color. That one is one that we have. And then this one is Cupcake. The only time I really use these anymore, actually, no, this one's Sabrina, is on the inner corners of my eye. So I would take a small brush and just go to those inners and with having more of a mature eye, I feel like eyeshadows really tend to move on us when the inside because we have more crepey skin. So you just don't want to go in too heavy with those lighter colors, but they're also really good to add a little bit of detail. I just like to use a very small, this is the spot brush, a really small detail. Now, if you use this spot brush for color correcting, you want to have 2 spot brushes, okay? And then one last thing that I want to close with is somebody asked me how I wash my brushes. Okay, Seint has a spray that has a lot of fragrance to it. I can't handle the fragrance at all. Or they have the, it's really good. And your brushes, it's like a quick cleaning. It smells more like vanilla, but it's too much for me. But I'm also really sensitive to smells. My favorite product they have though are the brush cleaners, and they come with a refill. So you always just keep the black little thing it comes in. It's easy to travel with, all of that. I have a video on it. I have multiple videos on it. I have highlight bubbles in it too. And I'll show it in my stories again here coming up on Instagram. But you want to be cleaning your brushes. Somebody said, how often do you really clean your brushes, Joss? So here's my breakdown. I try to clean my brushes at least every 2 weeks, or because weekly would be my goal. But let's be realistic. I try and change my sheets every week, and I probably hit every 2. But trying to be realistic is anytime I'm sick, my brushes are either not used or they are washed. As soon as I am not showing symptoms, those brushes are cleaned every single time. Every time I travel, I will either try to bring the brush cleaner with me if I can. And if I can't, as soon as I get home, you're unpacking, those brushes are cleaned. And then I try, like I said, I would love it if I cleaned them every week, but every 2 weeks. The only other thing that where I wouldn't be cleaning them every 2 weeks, so this one's just been used this week. I have multiples of this brush. So what I do is once this one does not pass, like I feel that it's too dirty, I move into the other one and then I wash them when they're done. So if it's a brush that you think you're using multiples of that you need, because like let's say with the spot brush, you used it for creams and powders, you would have 2, or if you used it all the time, you'd have 2. That's the only time that I have 2, but that's how I wash my brushes. Washing your brushes is going to make a difference for how your makeup stays on. It's going to make a difference for how it looks. Like it's going to completely change how it stays on, how it looks, how good your skin looks. having clean brushes is key. But the other thing we want to stress is that cleanliness. Acne, people are having so many acne issues. And when I ask girls, like, how often do you wash your brushes? It's never. It's like never. The other thing that you can do with your eyeshadow brush, your eyeshadows, is you can just put alcohol in a sprayer and spray your brushes, and that's going to completely sanitize them too. So when we're right close to those eyes and you've been sick, that's a great thing to do for that as well too. And Seint has the brush cleaner. It is my favorite. It smells like tea tree. They do have to put some essential oils in there because one, the soaps dry out the brushes. The oils, they bring in that oil to keep them protected, but it also is antibacterial as well. And so it does smell a little bit like tea tree, but it's not a strong smell at all. All right, y'all, if you want a custom color match, you're going to go to fitmissionmakeup.com. I can match you for your whole entire face. If you haven't had a color match in a long time, make sure that you do the same exact thing. Every single time you need a color match is the same thing. Go to my website, fitmissionmakeup.com. I will tell you this, I'm working on changing the form on that, but if you're watching this when I haven't changed the form yet, I know the form's annoying. The company that I have to use for my database, I try and keep very close tabs on how I color match. And so Brady created me this beautiful database that allows me to do so. But the company that works with that database, they sold it. And so the form that it has to be with, it's a little outdated. So we're in the midst of trying to fix that. When you go to submit your photo, when the photo is there, there will be a red X that has number and letters. That means your photo is there. The reason why we put it red is because then you would know it's there, and you'd see it really well, but also that there's an X so that if you don't want to use that photo, because I've been sent some photos that people definitely probably didn't mean to send me, you could take it out. But the problem is the submit button, it looks light in color as if your picture isn't good or something like that. Just press it. Okay, just press the button and wait just a sec. It takes a second for it to upload, and then you'll see a shift in the website. And it's supposed to say how long it will take to do your color match, but sometimes that hasn't been showing up. So just know that you'll see that shift in the site, and that's how your photo you know that photo went through and you're good to go. You can always email me too and ask if it went through, but usually I have not had a problem with any pictures going through at all, unless for some reason you're not using JPEGs and you're trying to plug in like a PDF or something like that. It's got to be like those JPEGs for it to work. I even increased not the bandwidth, but the how big of a photo you upload. I've even increased that as full as it can be. So I don't really have problems with that. It's usually just if you're trying to upload something that isn't a JPEG. I think that's all though, fitmissionmakeup.com. And then if you're not following me on Instagram, then I'm Jocelyn McClellan over there, and you can do as you wish. Good morning, Clara. Spray alcohol on the shadows directly. Yes, because the spray alcohol, it dries within seconds. Even if you're needing to repair a broken eyeshadow, you can put the alcohol, you can finish breaking it up, put the alcohol literally to the point of not super runny, but it's making a paste. Press the eyeshadow down, take a paper towel, press it over with a spoon so it's even pressed even more. The alcohol itself just vapors into thin air and it's fixed. So doing it with alcohol, it will dry it, it will sanitize it, and you're good to go there. Did you mean we could spray alcohol on the shadows themselves? Yes, I totally did. You totally can. It's handy dandy. And then when you spray it directly on them, just make sure you wipe off this. But yeah, you can spray them to your heart's content and it will just slowly evaporate. It's killing them. I mean, there's no need to go ham on it, but you're just looking for it to have a good enough saturation on that top to kill that bacteria, and you're good to go as far as that is. All right, y'all, have a great day. Happy Tuesday, and I'll see you soon.